Hello, beautiful ladies. I'm so glad you're here. Another Wednesday. Man, time goes by so fast. Last week, we talked about anxiety and what that does in us. And today, we're going to talk about why we stay stuck. Have you ever wondered why you keep repeating the same patterns, even when you know what to do? This topic naturally flows for anxiety, just naturally. It is so powerful when we recognize that. And sometimes you can say to yourself, why do I keep doing this? I know what I need to do, so why can't I just do it? Or why do I keep falling into the same relationships, the same habits, the same fears? For years, I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought that I needed more discipline, and I pushed myself as hard as I could. That I needed more motivation. And a lot of those thoughts were, I'm not good enough. That I thought was motivating me, or even more willpower. I would put more things on my plate and really struggle with all of those things. But what I've learned is you're probably not stuck because you're broken. You're stuck because your nervous system has learned what feels familiar and safe. And it's really interesting because when we're in those fear, those emotions, those anxiety emotions, our bodies get used to the chemicals that are running through it, and it's just used to it. And so it's just so easy to stay in the same place. And tonight, I want to help you understand why it happens, and more importantly, how you can begin to move forward with compassion instead of self criticism. And I want to share the story, and I've shared it on here before. I did in our workshop. But this is what changed for me in how I understand fear and growth. And years ago, 5 years ago, I attended my very first personal development retreat. And I literally had no idea. And as soon as I arrived, oh my goodness, my anxiety shot through the roof. And I had a panic attack. I felt completely overwhelmed. I had all of these limited beliefs around I can't do this physically. I don't think I can do any workouts or any hiking. Emotionally, there's no way I'm going to connect to anyone. I feel like I need to hide myself, hide my body. And I was like packing up, ready to leave. I just was like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. I don't belong here. What a big mistake of coming. And I need to go home. And I paced around my hotel room for what felt like an hour. It felt so long, and I was just crying and what am I going to do, really? What am I going to do? And I just was so close to just getting in my car and driving away. And looking back to that moment, I realized something very important. It wasn't because the retreat wasn't safe. It was because it was so unfamiliar. My nervous system wanted to pull me back into what I already knew, even if what I knew wasn't helping me grow. And I am so grateful I stayed. So much gratitude for myself in staying. And that decision became one of the most transformational experiences of my life. The retreat became the place where I began to really reconnect with myself. And we did a lot of inner child work, and oh, it just was so impactful. I had no idea what that work was like. And today I just have so much gratitude for the version of me in that moment that found the courage to stay. And we're going to talk about why we stay stuck. And here's something I wish every woman understood. I wish we were taught this in school. Your brain has one primary job: to keep you alive. It doesn't ask, will this make me happy? It asks, have we survived this before? And if the answer is yes, then it says, let's stay here. Even if here looks like people pleasing, overworking, perfectionism, staying in very unhealthy relationships, never resting, always putting yourself last. Those patterns often started because they helped us survive. Maybe as children, we learned that if I'm perfect, I'll be accepted. Or if I take care of everyone else, I'll be loved. If I don't speak up, I'll stay safe. Those beliefs become habits. At times, we don't even realize they're a part of us. And those habits become our identity. And eventually, we start believing this is just me, this is who I am. But it's not who you are. It's how you learn to survive. And there is a huge difference. When we continue living from survival, we absolutely lose ourselves and who we are. We disconnect from our bodies. Sometimes I talk to women in experiences that they've had, they actually disassociate or they actually leave their body and they go somewhere else. We so disconnect. We stop trusting ourselves. We become absolutely exhausted. We wonder why life feels so heavy. And the hardest part is many women don't even realize they're surviving. They simply think this is adulthood. This is why we're here. This is what being a good mom looks like. This is what being successful requires. But there is another way. One of the most powerful steps to learning another way is having awareness. And can be tricky because it's very easy to stay numb and to stay disassociated from awareness and what's actually happening. And usually that's because of fear. We don't actually want to know. We don't want to be responsible. We don't want to see it. We don't want to do something about it. So awareness is one of the biggest things that we can do. Healing begins when we become very curious instead of critical. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Ask, what is this pattern trying to protect me from? How does that feel? What is this pattern trying to protect me from? It's so much curiosity. And then it changes everything. It changes how you see it and how you view it, how you can even feel about the situation. Because everyone wants to be protected. And so if you go into what you're feeling or what awareness you're having and come at it with curiosity, you really can start to learn about it. And that's where the healing can take place, is as you learn about it and you get really deep into yourself, you recognize why those patterns were created. And that work is life-changing, absolutely life-changing. The next step is having absolute compassion for yourself. Being aware of certain patterns it does not mean that you are not good enough or that you should have shame or guilt about it. It is a protection mechanism. And the younger version of you was not trying to make life difficult. She was trying to stay safe. And instead of criticizing yourself, you thank her. You thank you. And you tell her you did the best you could with what you knew. Thank you for protecting me. And I've got us now. And that shift helps create safety. Um, I've talked a little bit, just a little bit, about my previous, when I was raising my children. And I had children when I was very young. I had 4 kids by the time I was 22. And being such a young mom, I did not have the skills to teach my children about their feelings, about their emotions, about even connecting with them. Um, and since I've done a lot of healing around my younger self, I have so much gratitude for the job that I did do. And I can just go back in my mind to my younger self and just be like, wow, Emily, you did such a good job with what you knew and what you had. And as my children are, young adults and learning about life, and maybe they have some patterns that I, you know, taught them, not knowing, but I can see them for who they are and not feel guilty or shame that I gave that to them. And I just have so much gratitude for that. Like it's such a, just broadens my awareness for myself. And then I can show up for my children with a very different presence versus me feeling defensive or protective of how I raised them as a young mom. And it's just so powerful. And then the next step is just really recognizing the small, tiny acts of courage. Healing doesn't happen because of one giant leap. It takes hundreds of small, courageous moments. One boundary, one honest conversation, one meditation, one breath, one walk outside, and one moment of choosing yourself. Those tiny decisions begin rewiring your nervous system. And that's what it takes. It literally takes rewiring your nervous system to tell your body you're safe. And little by little, your body actually starts to believe it. Maybe this new way is safe too. And I would love for you to think about this question. Where in your life are you choosing what feels familiar instead of what feels aligned? And just take a moment and notice what comes up. Where in your life are you choosing what feels familiar instead of what feels aligned? Sometimes awareness is the first step towards freedom. And I want to leave you with this. If you've been feeling stuck, please don't assume it's because you're failing. Maybe you've simply been trying to protect yourself. Healing isn't about becoming someone different. It's about gently teaching your nervous system that it's safe to become the person you've always been. And that is why I absolutely love the work that I do. I've lived this journey. I've experienced the fear. I've experienced the anxiety. I've experienced what it's like to want to run away, and I have. And I've also experienced what it happens when you stay, when you breathe, when you trust, and when you begin choosing yourself. I truly believe every woman deserves to feel at home within herself. And if any of this resonates with you, I would love to know, what is your biggest takeaway tonight? And put it in the comments. I really believe that when we share with each other and we're vulnerable and we're open and honest, it just creates this beautiful community of like minded women that are all on the same path of healing.